how do your desires feel to you? The ones that are not fulfilled yet, the ones that are still in the process of manifesting, the ones that you feel are close but are still not here, visible to the eye and for everyone else to see. How do those desires feel? Do they still feel fresh and new and exhilarating, or do they feel more not fresh? Do they feel horrible? Do they feel like, yeah, I felt a lot better before I wanted that? Because that really is the question. That depends on what you're doing vibrationally. Your answer, that is. And whatever your answer is, you're seeing it play out in your life. You're seeing how your dollars, all the subjects of your lives, the dollars, the relationships, the career, you're seeing how everything is playing out because you're here on the leading edge where you can't be very unaware of what your vibrational beliefs are, because they're being manifested in the fullest form, in the physical form. So if your life is anything less than how you want it to be, then you do have some vibrational work to do. And the vibrational work really is so easy because there is this lovely thing called contrast, and contrast is your guiding force. Contrast lets you know what you want, and it's really in that asking it's in that asking process, right? It's in that asking and sifting and sorting process that you are coming to terms, or you're creating your own vibrational reality. You're coming to terms with your own preferences. What do I want? Not to what people want for me, not what does society want, not what does people who look like me, what do they want? None of that at all. It's about what you distinctly, uniquely want. And that's so much power, because there's no one who has a vortex like you. You're creating this vortex that's so unique, that has everything that you want, not anyone else, but you want. Life has caused you to put things in there, and it is a vibrational reality that you can begin to tune into right now. And at first, it's hard to sort of understand that everything you want is vibrationally there, because you're so used to seeing everything as a physical reality. So right now, if you look at your bank account, right now when you look at the progress of your book writing, you're gonna claim that what I want isn't here yet, because you don't see it. And it's in that very awareness, noticing the absence of what you want. It's in that very awareness where you actually begin to vibrate with the absence of what you want, and you practice yourself there, so that whenever you think about that subject, that's mostly what you think about. You think about it mostly. And momentum really is the name of the game. Momentum is what law of attraction is all about, because whatever you give more of your attention to, that's what you're getting. That's what manifestations are happening. That's what your subjects are. That's how they're behaving. That's what you're experiencing, is the balance of your thought, because you're creating everything with your thought. And so we want you to so shake you of the understanding that nothing that you want is absent. But when you look right now physically where your desires are not, because they're not here physically, they're not here in the physical see it, smell it, taste it, touch it form yet. They will be, but right now they're in this vibrational form. And so it's a little interesting to hear of something that's vibrational, because you can't sense it with your five senses yet. And so you would say, well, then if I can't sense it with my five senses, then it's not real. It's not a reality that I can translate or spend or enjoy or live in, or publish. There's nothing here for me, so it's absent. And we're saying, but the thing is, you can't say that something is absent and ever live the presence of it. And then you would say, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be delusional? Do you want me to be a liar? Do you want me to fake it till I make it? Do you want me to act as if I have it? Do you want me to pretend it? And we're like, kind of, because all that stuff does help. But ultimately, what we want you to do is understand that right now, your desires have taken the vibrational form. They have been launched out of you from when you experienced contrast and decided, hey, I want to be one of the best writers of all time. These desires have been launching forth from you and going into the vibrational reality, and they're being tended to by a larger part of you, which is who you really are. When you decided to come into this body, not all of you decided to come. You were source energy, and you continue to be source energy, but while you're here, you're the furthest, most extended part of source energy. Yes, source energy is interested in you, and you're the one who's expanding non-physical beyond what it was before you got into this body. You have become more as a result of your life here, and it's that moreness, it's that total self that you must stay up to speed with, because you're causing your inner being to expand, and you have to go with that expansion. And your inner being is talking to you, or you're communicating, or you have this vibrational relationship. So it's really important that you understand that you have another part of you out there, because otherwise then your emotions don't make sense to you. Otherwise, they're just these chemicals that are arbitrary, and instead of trying to understand them, instead of understanding that your emotions are coming on the heels of whatever you're focusing on, right? What your thoughts are, what your attention, whatever vibrations you're sort of harnessing and practicing, what your thoughts are now, and what will become belief soon if you don't listen to your emotions. That is, if the thoughts don't feel good. Yes. So if you don't understand your emotions, then you're sort of just here on this raging sea, hoping for the best and hoping that whoever has the most convincing story you can follow, because you don't have guidance. And that's what your emotions are about. You have to care about how you feel, because these emotions are literally source energy. These emotions are the sole proof that you have and you are source energy, and you have this connection to source energy. And guess what that source energy is doing? That source energy is a nebulous part. It's thinking about what you want, because there's nothing more spiritual than wanting desires. Because and you know why? Because you can't help be the creator. You can't help but be sort of the picky person. Yeah, you're all picky. You're like, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this. Even if you can't say it clearly, it's always happening. And so all that is just a good basis to understand now this vibrational reality that your emotions are helping you sense. We want you to sense for your manifestations. You want to sense for your desires. You want to sense for them. You want to feel the bigness of them, the vastness, the clarity of them, the joy of them, the ease. You want to find the vibrational essence of what you want, which you can find when you talk about why you want it. We want you to find it. And you know what's interesting is that when you're a vibrational match to a desire, the majority of your conversation is one of hope, or even anticipation, or even patience. But truly, it's about satisfaction about where you are, because you have the emotion. Once you have the emotion, once you've thought enough about your desire, once the idea has planted in your mind, once you've seen the idea play out in your mind in the form of the daydream, once the emotion in the form of a positive emotion is in your mind, that manifestation of the positive emotion is your sign that you're on, that everything is going right along the course that will give you, net you what you want. You're right along, right? You're right, because everything you want is already 99% completed. And so if you're feeling good, since your emotions really are the only way that you can track your progress about how close or how far, not in terms of distance, but in terms of vibration. Yes, everything that you want is vibrationally right there. And so the capability that you have to tune into those vibrations is very possible now that you understand that your desires are vibrating, and they all have a vibrational frequency. That is a vortex, and you can tune into them right now. And right now, you might not be the best at staying on that channel because you're not familiar. You're more unfamiliar with the presence. You're more familiar with the absence, because every subject is really two subjects. It's like a stick, and on one end is the presence, and the other end is the absence. So that's how the subjects are playing out in your life. You see, when you talk about money, we want you to be aware of what side of the stick you're on, because this is never a conversation of don't talk about your desires. You already did all the work. Let it go and be still in the mind, and have this inspiration sort of download into your mind. Well, that is what we're saying, but you do also want to, be specific. You want to feel the energy move through you. And when you're general, when the details are vague, then the energy, the momentum is slowed down. But when you start to get more specific, then the energy speeds up. We just want you to know and be aware of what receiving mode you're in, because you have to be in the receiving mode of your desire. You have to be in the receiving mode of the presence of your desire, the vibrational version of your desire, the positive emotion. You want to be in the receiving mode. And the way that you know you're in the receiving mode, right? Similar to like your radios, you have to be on the right channel. And when you're on the right channel, you're in the receiving mode of whatever song is being played on that channel. And so imagine all of your desires on sort of a broad range of radio channels. And you don't doubt that the music on these radio channels are being played just because you're not tuned to them right now. You think they're there because I know how radio works. I know that there are all these stations and there are all these desires that I want, and all I have to do is just tune to them if I want to listen to the song on the channel. And that's what we're saying about your desires. It's actually as simple as that. It's not about physical time and distance. It's not even about time, because the more you spend time in the receiving mode of your vortex, because you're always in the receiving mode of something, because you're vibrational. This is more about energy and electricity and frequencies. That's what this is really all about. And so you're always broadcasting a signal, and when you broadcast that signal, whatever that signal is what you're going to receive from. So you're setting your tuner and you're receiving on that channel that you're setting your tuner to. That's why you're so complex, and that's why it's so important to understand your emotions. Because if you don't like the channel, if you don't like how you feel, then you can change it. But the thing is, if you don't like how you feel and you start to receive impulses, you start to receive from the momentum of a channel that you don't like, then what you get, what your manifestations are not going to be things that are going to be satisfying to you. And so you want to be aware of that, because when you're in the vortex, you can be as specific as you want. You can't get there's no limit to how specific you can be. You can be as specific as you want in the vortex, because you're working with energy that creates worlds. So be up there. When you only talk about what you want when you're in the vortex, otherwise you're in the lower frequencies. And if you're in the lower frequencies, if you're anything less than satisfied, then you're just efforting. You're trying to push the needle. You're trying to work hard. You're trying to make something happen. And it makes sense because there's a sort of a flawed human premise, which is you have to go after what you want. You can't just sit there and expect it to come to you. You have to go after it and offer an action. You have to sacrifice. And sometimes when you go after things, it doesn't feel good. You don't believe in it. You don't believe in yourself. You feel afraid, but do it anyways. Even if you feel negative emotion, do it, because unless you don't do it physically, action, if you don't set that goal and go after it, chase it with a knife, then it's not going to come into your reality. And we're like, but that's false, because you already did all the creation. So now you have to understand that this is not just an action physical world. This is a vibrational world. And so we'll leave this little piece with you, which is everything that you want is already vibrational here. You see, everything that you want is already vibrational here right now. And all you have to do is tune into it. And so when you're vibrational master your desire, when you're in the receiving mode of your desire, you're going to know it because you feel good when you talk about your desire. So your life just ranges from satisfaction to exhilaration because you're staying up to speed with your desires. You're staying up to speed with who you are. You see, your inner being never looks back. And when you look back, you don't feel good. And looking at what is right now, looking at your current bank account right now in this current second is looking back. And you know why? Because your inner being has already gone off from this moment. And that's the thing about being vibrational, is that you're always going to be one step ahead of the physical. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with your vibrational nature. And you know what makes you okay with your vibrational nature? The fact that you care about how you feel. And if you care about how you feel, now you're a master at setting your frequency, because now you're setting your frequency deliberately. Now you're saying, wait, I don't like that thought, so I'm going to set it to a channel, because I'm a receiver of thought. So I'm going to set the channel to a streaming of thoughts, a channel of thoughts that are satisfying to me. You see, right now, where you stand right now, you have limited access, or you have a limited sort of perspective. That is, if you're only looking at the physical objects, because when you look at the physical nature, the what is, then when you look at the current manifestation, you're going to come to the conclusion that what you want isn't here, and then you're going to practice absence more. And then we say, well, there's another reality that is what this physical reality is sort of coming, that is turning into. The vibration is turning into the physical things. And so this vibrational reality, you can't ignore it, because that's where your inner being is. That's what your emotions are about. Oh, your emotions are about this vibrational reality. So then you know what that means? That means that this vibrational reality is really important. It's so important that we couldn't even call it delusional, because it's not being delusional. You're telling the truth. Oh, hold on. You're telling the truth. And someone will say, no, you're not telling the truth because I can't see it. So that's a lie. And we're saying, but the thing is, what's real is not necessarily what's true, right? It's actually not true at all. Just because something is real doesn't mean that it's true, right? Well, it's true in the sense where you can see it, but it's not true as in it's not your real reality. Your true reality, who you really are, is what this moment has caused you to become. The clarity that this moment has caused you to become, that's who you really are. And so you can't look at yourself right now, and you can't look at yourself physically and find the truth of who you are. You can only feel for it. You can only look in the future for it, and you can only feel forward for it. And so this is a big conversation, and the biggest sort of takeaway of this conversation, it really boils down to something really small. What you want is already here, and the better you feel, the more you're in alignment with it. And let that alignment be enough, because it is enough. You're in the receiving mode of that desire. And when you're in the receiving mode of that desire, steadily there will be details. You will get inspiration. But we want you to be satisfied with just the alignment, the fact that it's there. And when I think of it as there, I harmonize with my inner being's inner opinion. And since I'm harmonizing with my inner being, then I feel good. And that feeling good is the only thing that's required. You see, anyone who you see who is successful, ultimately, they just ignored reality long enough. They ignored the what is, they ignored the fact that they weren't successful at their music careers or as writers, and they got into the vortex. They got into that sort of dream state. They got into that daydream. They got more talking about what they wanted than talking about or complaining about reality. And then it just had to break, because that's how momentum works. And we're saying that that's what the art of allowing is. The art of allowing is all about allowing yourself to be fully in this now moment. And you know what? When you look at this reality, you're not your full self. You can't be your full self and look at reality, because you're getting crossways of your inner being, which is where your power is. So truly, the most productive thing that you could do is get your connection. And once you get your connection, then go off. Think about what you want, because once you're in that high flying space, the more details you give, the more lovely it is, the more speed you feel, and that speed leads to manifestations. It does. But we don't want you to do anything for the manifestations, because when you do it for the manifestations, then you're taking score, and then it's like you're peeking at reality. You're taking score. You're always noticing how much you got, how much progress you have. And we want the progress to be the process. We want the progress to be how it feels, because when the progress is how you feel, when you understand that once you're feeling positive about your desire, it is manifesting. It's not it will manifest, it is already manifesting, because it already does exist. So it's so interesting to hear this conversation of sort of a negative emotion, right? About I don't see it, because when you talk about I don't see it, I haven't seen it, what's taking so long, then you're not a vibrational match to your desire. And that's why it's taking so long, because you're not a vibrational match to your desire. Because more time than not, you're spending your time conversating, talking to other people about the fact that you don't see it, you haven't seen it, and something must be wrong. Something is up. The algorithm must be wrong. The economy must be down. There must be physical reasons, because I can't be wrong. And we're saying, well, it's not that you're wrong. It's just that you're off. You're just off of the channel, and you can be on the channel because your emotions help you with all this. And emotions are the best indicator of your alignment. They're the best indicator of what will come next. And in fact, they're the only indicator, because you have two indicators of your manifestations. One is pre, which is your emotions, how you feel. So if it feels good, it's going to manifest into something good. And if it feels negative, then it's not going to manifest into something you want. It's going to manifest in the opposite way. So that's pre. And then the post is once it's manifested, and most people are just waiting for things to manifest, but you can know things before they show up. And that's what we're saying. Know your manifestations before they show up, because only then do you have the power. Because when you can harmonize with the knowing of feeling for something, sensing something that you can yet see, then you have the power. Then you can manifest anything that you want.